worst thing you've ever cooked
The worst thing
that
Oh,
turned out the worst?
uh I mean, other than ruining it, like you accidentally ruined it.
Like the worst thing that you could think of you've made for someone.
Hmm.
Oh God.
And
So
I've made a. Okay, yeah, go on.
there's this thing that I like to make every now and then. And I made it for Casey a few times and there was it's like you boil some potatoes, um mash them, put some
Potato
flour in
pancake.
them. Yeah, basically kinda, but you put cheese in them or whatever filling you want. I usually put cheese in them and you fry them and they're pretty good.
a
And
hash
I was
brown.
not really.
Hash brown with
Um
cheese.
not really.
Okay,
Um
it's like
and
a
because with
potato
hash browns
pancake.
kinda. You get like a cube of cheese and you mold the potato around it and you cook it like a pancake, but it's more circular. It's like a about the thickness of like a rice ball would be.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good.
And they're pretty good. And I made that there was when I first learned how to make them, I made them like every night. It was like a midnight snack type of thing. And my brother would come upstairs uh and I had him try them one time, and he was like, "Man, those are so fucking good." So every time I would make one for myself, I would make one for him as well, or like a few. And I had a big obsession with this habanero cheese. It was real spicy. It was so good.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
So I started using that. It was like cheddar mixed with like a bunch of different types of peppers, real spicy but good. And there was one night that I made some and I was like, "God, these are turning out terrible." They were like, I don't think I put enough flour in them to thicken the potato, and it was basically mush, and it was so bad. So bad.
That's unfortunate. Yeah, because they
And
sound good, but yeah, I could see it going
and
bad.
yeah, because like I usually just eyeball it, and I think I was making like 3 for each of us. So I was using more potatoes, and I wasn't like aware about how much flour to use as well. But yeah, it was so bad.
I,
And I was like I kind of messed him up. If you don't want them, don't worry about it. And then he's like, "No, I'll have them. Don't worry about it." I was like, "Oh my god." And he was like then later on, he was like, I didn't want to tell you they were so bad." I was like, "I know. I fucked them up so bad."
uh,
And I did the
it,
same thing
it,
to Casey, like, not long after. I
eat 'em
wasn't used
anyway, though.
I wasn't used to, like, the like, if I'm making, like, a bunch, I don't know. I didn't put enough flour in them
I think the
both
worst.
times.
I think the worst thing that I've ever made was I was cooking like homemade burgers on the barbecue, and I ran out of propane, and I had to like switch them over and like cook them on like a
To the
pan,
Barbie. That's
and it
oh
was
yeah.
like
To the
already
oh.
partially like it just fucked it up. It just wasn't good. It didn't. You can't do like a partial of either. It's got to be like one or the other.
No, it just
And
completely bones it.
yeah, it boned it, and it was not. It was just like such a waste of time. And I've
The worst.
also made ribs one time, and it was like just way too seasoned, and it was like just like it was almost like caked on with the seasoning, and it wasn't that good. But I was just like trying to make cheap ribs
So
taste
when
good.
I'm doing ribs, like, and you're trying to make like a sauce or something, I separate it. I usually like to have the ribs like just do the ribs by themselves. and then make a sauce like in a pan.
Oh,
And
trust
just
me,
like
like
just
ribs is like one of my favorite meals. So like I do like a dry rub, and then you cook it that
yeah,
way, and then you put on the sauce.
yeah,
Which is what I did, but like I just put too much dry
dry
rub,
rub.
and it was like
Ah, got it.
it didn't work
Okay.
out. And but it was like, you know, I was trying to. It wasn't like a decent. It wasn't a great cut of ribs. You know, it wasn't like baby back ribs or something. It was just like some fucking. I don't know. I don't even know what it was, but it didn't really. It didn't turn out, and I hate that because you spend so much time making ribs, right? You gotta like
Yeah.
you cook them so long, and then you have them, and you're like they were good, but if you had more than a couple, it was like, oh my god, this is just so much spices. So it's
Like I
like
have a pretty good pork chop dish I make. And like I remember one
you
time.
do make a good pork chop, but we're talking about shitty foods that you made. Like,
No, 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 no. But this is it. This I'm trying to get at that.
oh, okay.
So like I remember like I came home from like Mr. Lube or whatever when I was working there, and like usually we had like pork chop Sunday nights like at my house. Like and like I'd make pork chops for my sister and I. And I was just like too tired, and I think like the night before I didn't get a very good sleep. Like I just remember like completely just messing up the recipe. Like I usually just
Uh,
do it by like I don't actually have a
all right.
recipe. I
The
just kind of like eye
excuses
it
are
out.
coming out. Okay.
Well, I'm just telling you my what happened. You dick.
I am a dick.
You dick. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I know.
it just completely like fucked it up. And Sarah's like, these aren't very good. I'm like, yeah, I know, I fucked it up. Like I just had,
I'll
I
never do it again.
yeah, I was pretty upset about it because like it's like a meal that we usually like look forward to and like a very filling meal.
Like
Like
I
I
would
I, I
say,
cook like
like I've made some really good pork chops, and I know Sarah's made some really good pork chops. I've had like really good pork chops throughout the years, but when you have cooked them right, I think that pork chop meal is probably the best pork chop meal I've ever had. So
yeah, it's
there
good.
you
It
go,
is
lady.
good when you actually cook it up. But like yeah,
You
when you
have it
mess it up, it's
you
just
have
like
it the
such a
right
dishonor
amount of spice too. Like it's spicy, but not like you're done for.
overkill.
And you know, obviously you made the mashed potatoes and bacon, which is broken, and
Mashed potatoes, bacon, and green onion with sour cream and
green onion, sour cream, and I think you even had like corn or something on the side. It was like
yeah, corn is just a
fucking.
side.
Oh my god, it was so good. I actually
It'll put you to sleep. Let's
right
just say that
around right
it's a heavy
right
meal.
right around me is like obviously like there's a crazy amount of farms you know, around the town. So
Yeah,
I've been buying like corn from the grocery store, and it's like, man, this sucks. But then the other day I went and got some
get
from
the side corn, the side road corn.
the side road corn, and oh my god, it's not even
I was
fair.
t- yeah, I was telling Devin about this, right? And he's like, you trust road corn? And I'm like, yes. In fact, that's like the best corn you can get, man. What are you
I would
talking about?
trust
That's like
that
the stuff
better than the fucking grocery store.
the grocery store that's been shipped from like from A to B, like A to Z. Like I don't even know what to say about
Oh
that.
man, like these people,
A
like
to Z.
they're
Sorry, I
just
don't
like
mean to
they have
offend
their
you,
own fucking
Americans.
corn farm, and it's just like you see the field right next to them,
We
and they're
demand
selling that.
representation.
Oh, it's so good. It's not even fair.
Yeah,
Like I like the amount of difference it makes is actually
yeah. Like the size of the corn, the
it,
fucking like size of
it,
the kernels, like that are actually
they're
on it, and
they're
like
way bigger, but
how
also
fresh
just
it
like
is.
way more flavorful, and like
Yeah.
it's not even
Mm.
a fucking
It's not
fair
even
comparison.
comparable. It's not even
It's
a
not.
comparable like
It's not. It's not. I've realized that I'm never gonna get it from the grocery store again because there's
yeah,
so many
unless if
places
it's like
around that I can go that like it's stupid. There's no point. Like
What
I would
about
get
you,
it from the grocery
Casey?
store.
Hmm.
Yeah, Casey. Let's hear your bad cooking story.
The worst, the worst one I can think of was due to my grandmother telling me it was bad, and that's the one person that usually is supposed to lie to you.
Oh yeah.
Oh no.
I was cooking this German dish that had like dinner sausage and baby potatoes cut into it, and onions, and all these things. And
Sounds good.
I woke up the next morning, and then I was like, "Hey, do you want some of this?" And then before I could even ask her, she was like, "Last night, what were you
Cursed.
cooking?" And I was like, she's like, "Were you cooking?" I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Around like 11 at night?" I was like, "Yeah." She was like, "It smelt so bad that I couldn't go to sleep. I had to wait 3 hours, and then it got way worse at the end." She's like, "What was that smelled like shit?" And then I was like,
Uh,
"It was the sauerkraut that you add in that dish at the end, 'cause you're not supposed to overcook it." And then she tried it and she liked it, but I mean, it did smell
just
like
the cooking
shit
of it.
for like 3 hours.
Oh no.
Eh,
I mean, that sucks, but yeah,
At
that's
least it
not
didn't
that
taste
bad. I
bad.
mean, it tastes good. Like sauerkraut is so good.
eh,
Fucking love sauerkraut. I love it on like hot dogs. I love it.
yeah, it was really good, but it didn't smell very good, I guess, when you were about to fall asleep and then you had to wait a couple hours for the smell to dissipate. She said the smell was just pouring. She has a vent right above her bed,
He's like, I
so
was
it
in
was
the
just
war,
pouring on her
and the things I
face.
smelt were absolutely rancid.
Yeah.
And the thing that you cooked yesterday overpowered it all.
Was the
You're like, oh
worst
shit,
thing
Graham.
I've ever smelt in all of my 83 years of existence was what you
Oh,
made last night. That I had to wait
no.
3 hours for it to dissipate before I could lose unconsciousness. It was that bad and strong of a smell.
I mean, at least
Oh
she
no.
was honest with you.
She was. So I don't cook at night anymore.
Brutally honest to the
Yeah.
point where it brought tears to Casey's eyes.
I was like, damn,
I'm sorry,
is that
Grandma.
bad, huh?
I've
It
been
actually
alive for
it actually
82
sounds
years.
fucking really good though. Like I would eat that for sure.
Yeah, it was great. Everyone loved it. And I'll never forget that she was like, it was the worst smelling thing. And it was just pouring on my face, and it was so bad I couldn't fall asleep. Like, wow. Mhm.
Yeah,
Everybody's
You
such a
get
lie.
Tyler
grandma,
made
you get enough sleep.
Yeah.
when I
Yeah.
made that thing for Tyler, he was like, Usually everything that you make is like pretty damn good. This one gave me indigestion for like two
Oh no.
days. It was like he was just going in on it, and like I've never heard like that kind of stuff coming from him from something I made. So I was like, damn.
The shreds, you say?
I remember Kaylee made this one pizza, and
Oh my god.
she was like in charge of it, and I was like, put ever or in however much ever of stuff you want on it. She's like, cool. And then we took it out, and then she had me cut it, and it was so fucking heavy that as soon as I picked the slice up, it just fucking went plop. Like there was no
Oh my
structural
god.
integrity to it because the amount of toppings and everything else was just crushing it.
Yeah, sometimes that is a problem with pizza. I feel like if you add a bit too much toppings, it just like
Yeah,
it
it just
gets
destroys
so
it.
like wet and it's
Yeah.
not it doesn't dry up properly. Yeah, I know the feeling. Actually, I had some of the best pizza that I've had in a long time now the other day. Sarah made some homemade um dough and he rolled it out. Oh man, it's just so good. Sauce, cheese, pepperoni, bacon, feta, all the things that I like.
Sounds really good.
Yeah, it was
Kaylee does
broken.
this.
And like the bread is so good. Like the dough. like homemade dough. Sometimes we go and get the dough from the store, which is good too, but like I find it hard to roll. And it was really easy to roll, and it was so good. I want it now.
Kaylee will eat or get into this one type of thing back before when she stopped eating chicken nuggets and yogurt all day. I was like, why don't
Oh
you
my
try
God.
this? And she was like, that's good. I want to eat that for forever. And then she would eat that and ask me for it or cook it or whatever. Can we cook it? And then we would do that. And then she gets sick of it. And we'd have to move on to the next thing. But the thing that really fucked up this rotation was the fact that she would take her ass home and make that shit, and then her family would then re-up on the addiction, and then she gets stuck making it again and again and again, and then I'm like, what are you eating for dinner? Like casserole. Like, what? It'd be like 2 or 3 days later, it's like, what you been eating? Casserole. I'm tired of casserole. Like, I didn't give you this power to abuse it. It was something good I thought you might like to know how to do, then we can eat it later, you know.
You know what though?
Are
Like
you talking about the
casserole,
time when like
casserole can be pretty fucking good.
Yeah, the one
your
that
family used
Well,
to steal your casserole and like you wouldn't get any? You'd be like,
those
"Have you
motherfuckers
some
steal
Yeah.
my
casserole?"
recipes.
what's your recipe? I want to know because like I love
This
casserole.
this one casserole is for free. I'll give it to you for free. Um,
Yeah, the next one's gonna cost you.
so
God,
it's
it's so good. You'd love
Require
it.
a certain amount of friendship points.
if you don't want the
Eat-
time lapse of an entire baby potato, you can just cut them up into like halves. So
Okay.
it's the baby potatoes, and then I'll just tell you how I used to make it. You could do it. I've done it different ways, but this is just the base. So you
Okay.
get a potato, you get the carrot, you get the onion. When you do the onion, you need it in like bigger chunks because otherwise it'll cook too fast.
Okay.
So onion, potato, carrot, and you choose your meat. What I used to do is bacon, and I would do chicken, and the way I would cook everything was I would take the bacon and I would cook the bacon enough to get the fat and everything out of the bacon into this pan, and then I would take the bacon to the side. I'd crush it up into likable whatever chunks you like, and then I would keep that grease. I'd cook the chicken in that grease, and then I'd cut the chicken up into
Good
whatever
call.
size. Throw it back in, give it that sear so the bacon grease gets inside of the pieces. Put that over there to the side, and then I cook all the vegetables in that just to get that flavor, to get up all that grease. And then I put all of it in the pan, the oven, and you bake it. And then when you and marinate it however you want before or after. And then you just I put a little bit of cheese on it at the end, but if you're with someone that likes cheese and then most of the dish just turns into
Really?
cheese.
I see what you're saying, but
See,
no,
what
that
you gotta
sounds
what you
amazing.
gotta do with the cheese, you gotta layer the cheese. So some of the potato, onion, carrots, and chicken and
Okay.
bacon,
So that's what a
bottom
cheese
layer.
Nazi does, but you
Then
can do it however you want when you're not living in the camp. Okay? Um, at the end of it, when you're baking it, a fun thing to do is to turn the broil on for a second so you get that flame above it, like to last like 60 some odd seconds, so that it will it won't crisp it hard on the top, but it will do some extra cooking so that cheese has that nice, it almost looks like that pizza cheese a little bit, but it won't overdo it.
it's so good. I
That
made it
sounds
last week, and it's
really good.
And then
I don't
you're
know if I've had a I don't know if I've had a casserole without some sort of noodle. I don't. I could be wrong, but
well, that's what I
like
always
not.
thought about. I was like, casserole means like, like pastas or like beans or
Yeah,
something,
yeah.
vegetable.
I mean, I love I love that kind of casserole, but that sounds fucking amazing.
You
That
know.
sounds like everything I like.
Oh shit! I introduced pot roast to Kaylee not that long ago. She's like, "What the fuck is this?" I was like, "It's pot roast."
Yeah,
see
pyro,
my see
bro.
my mom, she she was a frozen food kind of mom. frozen
Right.
pizza, frozen like Stouffer's, Marie Callender's, that type of thing.
Yeah. Then you
He,
get if you if you
he's
get a pot
never
roast,
she's
that
never cooked before at all.
that's when you realize that food can be broken.
Yeah.
Like pot roasts. Oh my god, I love pot roasts. I can't like
He makes it so good.
they're so good and they just like fall apart, peel. Oh my god. I can't. I'm actually hungry, so I can't even.
So what are we doing?
Oh, one
I don't know.
second.
I thought we were cute, but apparently we're not.
Kaylee was so food
No, I
deprived of variety that I'd been dating her for like a year and a half, and then we were all hanging out, like my family, or just my dad, really. We were hanging out with my dad, and he was grilling, and then me and him were talking one day, and he was like,
Wait, before you continue, get into
Jake
Overwatch.
Jake just left.
I just left. Yeah, it's your
oh,
guys'
okay.
turn.
No, technically your guys' turn. I played every game.
So have I.
No, you haven't.
Well, I played.
Yeah,
Have
he
you?
has. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I have.
jumped out
Oh,
oh,
like
you
you
first, and
still
guys
then
have
haven't.
you still
Oh,
have
okay.
placements though, yeah.
I do, but I'm gonna go smoke one. So we're good.
Kate,
I would have played like I thought we were cute like months ago, but because I thought we were just waiting like another 20 minutes. But yeah, I left and yeah, Casey, you should join and you guys should play and you guys should stream and I'll watch. Um,
In other
but yeah,
words, that was your last
finish
game
your.
for the night.
No, I might play another one, but finish your story. I wanna get the rest. I love food.
Kaylee had never. He was like, "Has Kaylee ever had steak?" I was like, "I don't know." So I text her, and she was like, "What dat?" And so I was. He was
no,
like,
What's that?
I've had. Okay,
"No, no,
before
no,
you,
no, no."
before,
She had had
before,
burnt ass steak
You
that.
haven't had real steak.
Yeah,
I
she
get
haven't
it.
had steak. Yeah. And so he was like, "Well, you should cook her steak." And I was like, in one side of my brain was this evil voice, and it was like, if you cook her steak and she likes it, which she will, you will then be forced to buy expensive shit. And then the other voice was like, yo, that's fucked up. She's never had good food. What are you doing? She was just done eating nuggets and shit like last year. All she eats is macaroni. That's a dick thing. And so I was like, fuck. And then my dad was staring at me the whole time I was having this inner monologue, and he was like, are you considering not introducing her to actual like good food right now? Because I was just staring at the fucking steaks, and he was like, son, are you not gonna buy her steak? And I was like, no, I'm going to. He was like, I'll he's like, I'll buy this first one and then I'll cook it for her. And he was like, and that's my gift to you as your father. And I was like, wow, what a legend. And then he he did it too well.
And introduced her to crack. Yeah, I can see how this is going.
Yeah. So he
I can
ruined me
see.
financially.
Yeah. You know
oh
what?
my
Like
god.
steak done properly is it's not even fair. It's not even fair. Like
So,
Yeah. It wasn't a
so
favor looking back at it because he bought like one of the top tier best steaks he could find, and I was like, wow, that's really fucked up of you. It actually
yeah.
wasn't a nice thing. It was all a ploy. You bamboozled me.
Now I can never compete. Like what the fuck?
Yeah, now it
On
always
the
has
plus
to
side,
be
he
this.
overdid it though, so it's like, you know what? There's room for improvement.
Mm,
so when I first had steak,
I'll be
my
right back.
parents would always take me to different like we would always go to like different like steak restaurants because my dad he usually had like business dinners, and sometimes he would take us, sometimes he wouldn't. I remember we went to this one, we were on vacation, and he had ordered a steak and my mom had ordered a steak. Me being like a picky eater growing up, uh was afraid to try new things, especially like I was the type that if it touched something else that I didn't like or didn't know that I liked, I'm not trying it. So both my parents, they ordered steaks. My mom, she's got like a corn on the cob and I think something else, but it was in like a separate bowl. I'm not entirely sure. I think it was just the corn. And my dad got like asparagus and mashed potatoes
Oh my god, it sounds so good.
and like of course like me saying mashed potatoes, yucky. I'm like, "Yeah, I'll try your steak, mom." Thing is, me and my dad like now, even back then, he's always liked his steak medium rare or medium, which is how I like mine. My mom likes it well done.
No.
Mm, that's
So when I
a
tried
really
it,
Oh,
perfectly good steak.
so I tried it and I was like, I don't like it. So I just went on for years thinking I just don't like steak. And I didn't even know there was like different ways to cook it, really.
Hmm.
And then
And it
around
like legit makes like a world of difference on like the flavor.
yeah,
it's like night and
yeah.
day.
And like
Yeah.
whatever you like is like fine, but it's like it is a completely different flavor from one extreme to the
Oh,
other.
oh yeah. And then Casey kind of went through a similar experience. Like his
Which
dad,
actually blew my mind, yeah.
his dad would always like order like he'd always make his steaks for him, and it's always well done because that's how his dad likes it. And then they went to a restaurant one time, and the waiter asked like, "How do you like your steak?" And he's like, "What you mean?" So he explained it, and his dad tried to interrupt and be like, "Oh, he likes his well done."
You're like, hold on, wait a
Shut
minute.
your mouth,
I have
Dad.
I have choices. You're not allowed to speak at this moment. Let me make this choice.
Yeah,
Like a true
so
man, you got to make your choice about how you like your
You
steak.
know what? What
yeah,
is
and then
with
what's
old
what's
people
really
and liking the
what's
fucking
really I
well
have
done?
Yeah,
no
my dad was
idea.
the same way. He
What's
fucking
really
like
funny about like his dad doing this to Casey all these years, when he was asking if I've ever had steak before and I was there, he asked me how I like my steak cooked. And I looked to Casey and I'm like, I don't know. And he didn't tell me that his dad did this to him for years. But he just
you're
assumed
like,
like
wow, you give her the choice. You never gave me the choice. I was always just, oh, I guess it's well done. Well, fuck me, I guess.
It's actually like the worst selection. Well done.
In
Like
my opinion,
Yeah.
what?
100%. Yeah, no, honestly, I want to like eat what I want and ride the
Yeah,
rest
I
home. Give it to me fucking rare.
yeah,
Sarah's
I looked at
answer probably
Casey in that
too.
moment. I was like, "What does he mean?" And what do I want?
I feel like
Yeah,
they're
And
just like
exactly.
they're
and he's
afraid
like,
more of
"What's
like getting
medium?"
fucking killed by like I don't know,
God, I still remember that
like
steak. It was so good.
meat poisoning, like somehow, like food poisoning. Like they're so much
And get
more
like
afraid
worms or
than
something like that.
yeah. And it's like no, I don't know. I usually cook my steaks. I like to get them at medium rare. I do them at medium rare, but like I'll take them off at like
It
135
depends on the
Fahrenheit,
thickness of the steak.
and then I'll throw it on a plate and then cover it in tin foil and then just like let it cook the
Wait,
last.
did Casey ever join?
Oh, he didn't even get into Overwatch like a scrub.
Fuck you.
We can continue this conversation. I'm all down for
I'm
this,
never
but
gonna cook you steak again.
Yeah, you're cut off. Only the wellest done of
uh,
steaks will do for
I'll buy
you.
you the cheapest steak there ever
No,
was.
Chuck.
Casey's
oh
gonna
my
ruin
god.
steaks
When
just to spite me.
Devin actually now no longer uses HP sauce or whatever it is, A1 sauce on his steak. I'm like, I'm proud of you, Devin. Because like that's what he told me. He's like, oh yeah, I use A1 sauce. I'm like, what are you talking about?
I've never used any
Fucking
others like steak sauce,
yeah, no
I
steak sauces. No, no,
like
no, no,
at
no.
all.
You just put like a little bit of
Casey,
seasoning on it. Mm.
Casey, Casey does this thing where he marinates it with a specific sauce, and it's so
Marinating is
fucking.
yeah,
fine.
it
It's
marinating is the way to
so
go. It is the way
good.
to go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's proper. But
I
like if you're
assume like some
adding
sort of
like HP sauce or like fucking Diana sauce or like some kind of like nonsense, it's like okay.
so like
Or ketchup. Oh
I
my
find
god.
Oh
past the
yeah,
ketchup.
you're crazy if you eat ketchup. But like, I would say that if you buy like cheap steaks, I do think that like barbecue sauce is fine. But like when it's a good steak, you're crazy, man. All you need is steak seasoning sauce,
You know
like
what you do with cheap steak? You cut it
not
into
not
slices and you
sauce,
make.
not sauce, steak seasoning spice.
Get
Yeah,
some
if you have cheap steak,
fajitas.
you cut it into slices and you put it into either fajitas or into like some kind of like rice or noodle dish.
Where you
That's
cook
what you
it
do with that.
regularly and you fucking have it that way too. It's fine. Like you don't have to be a fucking
No, I'm a steak Nazi. Honestly,
Nazi about it.
fucking get. Yeah, no, I'm definitely a Nazi
It's
with
still
that.
good. It's still good, but like it's not
Is
as
it though?
like
You can't
Or
call it
it's
you
a
can
steak.
put,
That's like saying
or
that's like
you
saying a
can
hamburger
cut it,
is a fucking like Salisbury steak.
or you
Like,
can
get out of
put,
here.
you can cut it up and put it into that casserole that Casey mentioned, which
you
is
don't like
also
hamburgers.
really fucking
Exactly.
good.
What
You
do
don't
you
like
mean? I'm just
hamburgers.
saying. I did. When did I say that?
You just said it's like saying it's a hamburger, and then it is kind of like a hamburger when you get a really cheap fucking steak. You
That's
get a cheap
exactly my
steak
point.
and
Is like you
you
turn it
try and
into
cook it
something.
right,
You turn it
and
into another
then
meal.
I don't think like I honestly don't mind having like a bit of barbecue sauce with that. But like if it's a good steak, you don't need it. You don't need it at all. There's no point.
Yeah, if that is the case, then like get some eggs and like drizzle the egg yolk, like sunny side up, and then like put that on.
Yeah,
Have
okay.
it like a
But I mean,
breakfast steak.
I disagree, but like I understand what you're
I'm not
saying. I
big
know you're
on
like really
eggs.
What's that, Kaylee? Oh, I didn't hear. I actually didn't hear.
I'm not big on eggs. I like scrambled eggs with cheese.
I
She
love
likes
eggs.
fucking cheese, bro. Like, she doesn't want to taste the egg. It's
I
not a normal amount of cheese. Let's be
No,
clear.
so
I
Casey was making me
I love
It's
breakfast
eggs.
one
half a
time.
brick. I still have the other half of the brick with
Casey was
cheese.
making me breakfast one time, and he got to the scrambled eggs part, and I knew I wanted to marry him when he put like half a bag of cheese in it.
She sat there and stared at the eggs, and I was taking out handfuls of cheese and putting it on eggs, right? And then I
It
was
was the most
staring at
beautiful
her,
thing I've
she
ever
never looked
seen.
away, and then I kept putting it until the bag was fucking empty. That's when she looked up. She was like, I know now that I'm going to marry you. I've chosen you.
And you're like,
No.
I was expecting you to say stop. It's like, yeah, you were expecting the wrong thing.
Yeah, she didn't break eye contact until I put my hand in the bag, and then there was nothing else to come out, so I just did the gesture.
You
I
tapped
know
the.
I know this is like super ridiculous, but like there was like some contestant I saw it on Instagram, some contestant on I don't know, some like America's Next Talent or whatever the fuck it is. I don't know. One of them. One of the ones. And they're talking about going to Italian restaurants and like getting like pasta and that they ask for Parmesan cheese and they always want more,
Mhm.
but they feel embarrassed to ask. So it's like
It's like that's what you just say. You just leave that little cheese grater here.
I always want more
We'll let you know when we're
Parmesan.
done.